These men were not sitting in pristine laboratories with million-dollar grants and corporate sponsorship. A lot of this work was rough, dangerous, experimental. I mean, you gotta think, this is at a time in America where you could still buy sticks of dynamite, TNT, at the local hardware store. Stuff exploded constantly. And I mean constantly. They gained a reputation for blowing things up so often that people at Caltech started calling them the Suicide Squad. Which honestly sounds less like a scientific research team and more like a garage punk band from 1982. Or a comic book franchise movie. But eventually, despite all the explosions and failures and ridicule, something started to happen. They began making progress. Real progress. They started developing rocket motors that actually worked. Reliable fuel systems. Stable combustion. Practical propulsion. Stuff that the broader scientific community had largely dismissed as fantasy. And suddenly the United States military started paying attention. Funny how that works, isn't it? The moment somebody discovers a new way to launch fire through the air at high speed, governments become very interested, very quickly. Now, during this time, America was heading towards World War II. Military technology was rapidly evolving. Aircraft needed assistance taking off from short runways. Missiles and propulsion systems were becoming increasingly important. And the work Parsons and his team were doing suddenly looked less like science fiction, and more like the future of warfare. Which meant funding started arriving, recognition started arriving, and doors started opening. The same men who had once been laughed at as reckless weirdos were now helping pioneer the future of military rocket technology. That eventually led to the formation of Aerojet and later the Jet Propulsion Laboratory. Now pause right there for a second. Think about what we're talking about here. The foundational roots of American rocketry. The technological bloodline that eventually feeds into NASA itself. And right there, near the center of it all, is Jack Parsons. A brilliant, driven, highly intelligent man obsessed with reaching beyond the Earth. And honestly, up to this point, the story still sounds pretty inspiring. Dangerous, sure. Obsessive, definitely. But still, inspiring. A young dreamer defies the experts, overcomes ridicule, and helps invent the future. That's usually where Hollywood would stop the story. But reality gets stranger. Because while Parsons was helping pioneer rocket science during the day, something else was growing in the background at night. And this is where the story starts drifting into territory that feels deeply symbolic, whether you believe in the supernatural or not. See, Parsons wasn't merely fascinated with outer space. He was fascinated with hidden knowledge, mysticism, the occult, esoteric teachings. And eventually, that curiosity would lead him towards one of the most infamous occult figures of the 20th century, Aleister Crowley. Now, if you're unfamiliar with Crowley, don't worry. We're going to get into him deeply in the next segment. But for now, just understand this was not some harmless, quirky philosopher writing poetry in a coffee shop somewhere. Crowley openly referred to himself as the Beast 666. Yeah, that beast. The man built an entire spiritual movement around occult rituals, ceremonial magic, altered states, sexual rites, and the pursuit of hidden spiritual power. And somehow, this is the world that Jack Parsons became deeply involved in.